it's time for some real education. As we continue with G.K. Chesterton Week here on Instant Classics, Gilbert Keith Chesterton, the man with the mustache and hair as wild as the wind. He was an English philosopher. He's a theologian. He was an art critic and a preeminent Christian apologist. And he lived for a good amount of time and was able to do a lot of good things, including he eventually converted himself from being an Orthodox Christian to a Catholic. And in many ways, his thinking was an extension of several different Victorian writers, Matthew Arnold, John Henry Newman, John Ruskin, just to name a couple. And he did a couple good works, including Orthodoxy and The Eternal Man.
Chesterton and C.S. Lewis have that in common. Both of them decided that they were going to be what Lewis called big C Christians, right? Lewis didn't want to necessarily pick a denomination. Chesterton, too, was bothered by the question of Christian denominationalism. Should we really be separating ourselves that way? Lewis ultimately found that he joined the Anglican Church. Chesterton actually chose the Roman Catholic Church, but both men were concerned about how denominationalism turned Christians against each other. But we're talking today about the incredible legacy of Chesterton. This is Chesterton Week on the Dr. Duke Show, and he certainly deserves that much time. When you think about his great contributions to Christian apologetics, how at the times between World War I and World War II, when America and the whole West really was suffering a crisis of conscience with regards to God. God is dead, you may remember, was the headline during the end of the First World War. The carnage and the killing. Well, Chesterton was one of those guys who kept the Christian faith moving when there didn't seem much evidence in this world anymore to support the notion that there was a God. And so I want to share another one of those quotes with you. Here's our next quote from G.K. Chesterton. This one's from an anti-religious thought in the 18th century essay. He says, "Neither reason nor faith will ever die." Now, again, this is the time when we were mechanizing and the scientific method was pushing us forward, creating greater and greater implements of war and destruction. He says, "Neither reason nor faith will ever die. For men would die if deprived of either. The wildest mystic uses his reason at some stage, if it be only by reasoning against reason. The most incisive skeptic has dogmas of his own, though when he is a very incisive skeptic, he has often forgotten what they are. Faith and reason are in this sense co-eternal. But as the words are popularly used as loose labels for particular periods, the one is now almost as remote as the other. What was called the age of reason has vanished as completely as what were called the ages of faith." When we start separating faith and reason out, pretending that faith and reason actually have different ends and aims, when we make science devoid of faith and faith devoid of science, when we put those things at war, everybody loses. He's right. The compendium of the Roman Catholic Church, as late as 1977, actually proclaimed that reason and faith can never be at odds in the end. If we get back to that, maybe there would be a chance of saving civilization.